It's time for their CollectionDX review. I'm Andrew, this is a Gundam. Now let's talk toy. This is Bandai's Gundam Fixed Figuration Metal Composite number 1005, limited edition blue type, FSZ006 A1C1C1 Boost Zeta Plus. Now, you may be asking me, Andrew, that sounds like a whole lot for just one little toy. Let me show you something. This is Mr. Gundam's box. Mr. Gundam's box is huge! There's a lot of toy within this box, and it's going to be a real journey for all of us. I'll just start off with the basic figure. This is more or less how it comes out of the box. All you do is to put it in A1 mode is attach these wing binders here, attach the tail binder, do something with the gun, and put the shield on. Oh yeah, also attach these hip guns here. These hip guns here. Alright, just to go into the basics of the articulation. You have rotating shoulder joints, detented shoulder joints here, swivel bicep, elbow, hands are attached via ball joints. This little armor here also moves. The head moves, a little ball joint here. You have die-cast ball joints in the hips, detented double-jointed knees, and ball-jointed feet. Also lots of little panels that move on ball joints as well. And of course the hip armor. Just getting into some of the action-y poses here, which you can do with them. Just pull off a fist. Grab a gun-toting hand. You just pull the gun off the back here. Clips onto the backpack using this hook here. Just push that down. Flip up the handle. And very carefully insert this because this keeps on pissing me off. Alright, there we go. Took me a few times to do that. Okay, starting to get that classic Gundam look there. And also he comes with a beam saber tucked away inside each hip gun. What you do is you use your long fingernails and you just kind of pull it out. Just difficult to do. There it goes. So there's a tiny beam saber there. Take the clear blade, just put that in. And again, you can just use these hands. Stick it in. Goes in a lot easier than the rifle does. And there you go. Gundam with a beam saber. So as far as the toy itself feels, this is really, really high quality. There's a nice matte finish, lots of little details tattooed on here, like this 001. On the back of this here, you can see it says 001 Karaba Air Force. And just kind of this interesting two-tone blue camo pattern on the white. Looks really nice. I like that. And the reason why I went for the limited edition blue one is because I didn't want to look like a creamsicle. I wanted to look more like a blueberry creamsicle. Okay, and just to go over the stand, this is the stand in the basic configuration. It just has the figure's name on it. And what you're supposed to do is you just take this out, little piece here. And what you can do is pull in this articulated piece. Slides in here. And there is a little hole in the back right there. Sticking on this piece here. And here we go. He's hanging off of a stand. This looks pretty nice here. He's not going to really go anywhere, as you can see. Makes him extra tall, probably isn't fitting shot properly. There we go. And in the next part of this video, we're going to do the transformation to Wave Rider mode. Now let's go over the transformation. To transform the Zeta Plus in A1 mode to Wave Rider mode, simply remove the shield, remove the gun, flip up the V-fins, pull up the cockpit block right here, swap that up, pull forward the chest, you'll hear it snap. Then there's a small tab under here that you just flip up, push the head down until it locks into place, flip up the chest piece, snap it down, flip up the groin. Hey, that actually stayed on there. Alright, the next part we're going to transform the legs themselves, and what you have to do is basically unlock these hip plates in here. So first thing you're going to want to do is just rotate, get those wings out of the way, rotate the thigh up, pull this out. Oh yeah, I just want to collapse these here. Rotate the thigh downwards 90 degrees. There's a tab in here, locks it in place. And then what you want to do, just get the arm out of the way. This is a tab that goes into the back part of the toy right here, and that just snaps in. I'm just going to get the arm out of the way, push that down, and then pull the arm down and just pull out the arm a little bit and bring the armor down like that. Now we're just going to do the same thing with the leg to the other side. Pull it out, pull the thigh back, rotate it, get that tab in there, the arm out of the way, and then just tab it in. See, just tab it in, pull the arm up, okay, so now we're basically halfway there. I'm going to bring down the tail binder here. And then we just have to attach, we can attach the shield at this point. And what you're just going to do is flip up this plastic part here. And there is a hole here. It goes into this here. So I just tab this slots in right here. Now we're going to just do the wing binders. You do this by flipping it up this way, flipping it around, and then pull it down 90 degrees. It's stuck on something. There we go. There's also a small tab that you just pull up on the wing binder and goes into the chest. Slots in there. So okay, same thing for the other side. We're just going to pull this up, pull it around, pull it down. I'm just going to flip up the, these tabs are kind of difficult to get out. Sometimes you want to bring it out before you actually pull it down, and then you just kind of have to pull it out a little bit and then stick it in. There we go. Position the hip guns, like so. And just bring up the knees. Push down this heel here. Push down the other heel. Get it in there. Up the knee. And then here you go. Zplus in Wave Rider mode. And also if you want, you can attach the gun, just flip up this tab here, goes into this slot here, snaps in, and there you go. And for the next part I'm just going to go over some of the features of this mode. So now we have our Zplus in Wave Rider mode, and just to talk about it a little bit, I think it's pretty solidly locked together. I mean, other than these hip guns just kind of floating here, everything else is really tight. I mean, even the ball joints and the hips there, everything feels good in the hand, I think. I think one of the big problems though with this mode is just because of the way the die cast is in the legs, it does tend to droop backwards. And one of the ways you can display this guy is you just take your stand and you have this new piece right here. Get that in there. You take this piece here. Just slots into the back. And use this cradling piece here. One nice thing about these pieces is that you can't put them in wrong because they're designed so they only slot in one way. See, this one has a little indentation right there. Stick this part in the front, and then this tiny little piece goes in the back. Basically, you form a little cradle to hold the robot, and with these clips here, and you just slot the clips right under here. And you hope it works well. There we go. On the stand, it's actually kind of loose on the stand. I wouldn't mess around with it too much like this. Also, it still feels like it's going to fall backwards a little bit. And if you want, it also comes with a bunch of tiny little pieces of landing gear. Now, one of the things it has is an alternate groin piece that has the landing gear out. So you just stick that in there. The wheels do move. And then what you do is you just remove this piece here from the shield. The piece comes out there. And then there's this piece which is supposed to sort of simulate the same area with the door out. Push that in there. Put in the landing wheel itself. It's made of metal actually. And then you can do the two side wheels. What you do is basically take off these tiny, tiny little panels here. And you pull these out. It's kind of hard to get a hold of. The wheels don't move on these either, unfortunately. And then you just stick them in. Not the best grip, but it'll do. Stick it in, make sure you do it the right way. And there we go. Now you're going to notice instantly that this guy doesn't actually stay on the landing wheels by himself. See, it starts to tip back. And what you're supposed to do, which I think is kind of cheap, is you just take more random pieces from the parts bin, which I can't seem to find. Oh, look at this. There we go. There's a piece. There's a piece. And also missing piece. Oh, here we go. Kind of a nondescript piece. So what you do is you have this sort of clamp. It's kind of a stabilizing leg here. What you do is you just clamp it around the groin area. It's supposed to actually fit into the place where the legs normally clamp in. Just put that in there. Push it together enough, and then you just put this little piece on the bottom to cap it off. This is really, really tight. Okay, stick it in. Well, let's see. That's not actually fitting in there. Well, you know what, whatever, we don't need that.
Yeah, I guess we do need it, but you see the idea. Basically, this little stabilizing leg in the back here allows you to display it and to kind of offset the weight of the legs. But honestly, I think the only way they could have fixed this, and something a little less half-assed, is they just put some weight in the shield here. Probably would have worked out better than this little half-assed piece that doesn't really work anyway. But other than that, you know, pretty good Wave Rider mode. Pretty painless transformation. Next what we're going to do is we're going to go over the C1 mode. Okay, we got our Zplus in A1 mode and we want to put it into C1 mode. So I'm going to do this in Wave Rider mode first. So what I'm going to do is just remove this panel off of the hip gun, another panel off the hip gun. It comes with some flatter panels you just stick in. Remove the gun. Remove this tail binder. Stick in this tail binder, which has a couple of boosters on the side. Snaps in. Just going to flip it around, take off the old crotch, put on the new crotch. Now what we're going to do is we're going to take off this whole panel here, and also while we're down here we can see that this is the only way we can do the extending strakes on the wing binder. Take the panel off and you can push these out. There we go. Then we have a new set of panels that have the fuel tanks on them. Stick those in. And now we just change shields. Place that with the C1 mode's ridiculously large beam gun. I've already put the landing gear on. Basically there's just a couple of panels you remove and then put on the die-cast landing gear. Let's see if I can get this on easily. Probably not though. Oh yeah, look at that. There we go. Zplus C1 Wave Rider mode. This is probably the better of the two Wave Rider modes because it just kind of goes together better. No big gun hanging off the top there, and instead they just put it on the front. Really, really big, really impressive, and it actually almost stays. Yeah, I mean almost stays on its landing gear in this mode. But, you know, I don't like that cockpit block, or I don't like that landing gear block they give you, so what I'm going to do is just stick these pits, put little blocks back in here. And we're just going to put this guy in his stand. Yeah, let's leave him upside down like that. It's probably the safest way. So we just take the same stand pieces we did before, and now we just have a couple of new stand pieces, this one and this one. Put those in. And now there's a couple of little tiny tabs there that are just going to grip the front of the shield here. Pull them up. Slot those tabs in. And here we go. This is probably even less stable than the A1 on the stand. Doesn't feel... Ooh, there it goes. Yeah. Yeah, that's kind of a problem. But still, I really like this mode. Ooh, it doesn't stay on the stand quite as well. Alright, next we're just going to go over the C1 mobile suit mode, and hopefully there'll be less falling down. Alright, so this is the Zplus in C1 mode, mobile suit form. You see not a whole lot has changed, just a new crotch, a new ridiculously large gun. Now the way this guy holds it is that there's basically a... get that off there. There's this little handle that comes up and just stores right in here. And for the most part, I mean, it's kind of loose holding it, but you just kind of have to fiddle around with it to get it in a good pose. But for the most part, I like this mode a little bit better. On the gun itself, the sensor comes off. You can see there's a little detail in here, little clear parts for the sensor eyes, little red markings here, white tampoo markings here. And what you can do with this while it's off is it comes with a beam smart gun, a la the Superior Gundam. Just pull off a panel on the top, stick the sensor on, and now this looks a little more authentic, and you can give this guy this gun if you want to. So let's stick this back on. So yeah, that's basically it. Well, those little fuel tanks here, they move. Tail binder's still the same. Moving boosters on the back. But yeah, there's C1 mode. And next we're going to get to the big guns. The really big guns. And now for the real star of the show. Conversion to C1 boost mode. We're just going to take off the shield here, take off the arms, and now what we do is we just go towards the back, lift up the entire... Oh, actually what you need to do is take off the whole tail binder itself. So you can lift up the skirt all the way, and then just unlock these again. This whole mechanism comes out of the back here. Or at least it should. Come on. There it goes. So there's a nice pair of legs for you. And now we're left with a quadruple amputee Zplus. So let's start, and we're going to set up the stand, because that's arguably the most important thing for a robot with no feet. Just use the big part, and then put in a couple of these. And now take the new legs, attach them in the back. Just go right in there. And we're just going to put on the new crotch piece. Just flip it down. Flip it down. Push it in, flip it down. Snap it in. There we go. Nice solid snap. Put the tail binder back on. There we go. Alright, just so to make it easier, we're just going to stick this guy in a stand. What you do mostly is you just take this part, stick it in the back, and then you just maneuver the legs a little bit. And there's a hole in each leg. You can put it on this peg here, or you just kind of let it stay bow-legged like that. Next we take the guns off of the old legs. And they just pop on. They're a little tight. Actually the ball joints on the new legs are a bit bigger. So you're going to stretch the polycap a little bit just by putting them on. Oh, there they go. And consequently that leaves them loose when you put them back on the old legs. But yeah, this is probably the hardest part of the conversion. It's just these little guns here. It requires so much force to pop on. There we go. And next what we do is we want to add the new arms. Oh yeah, and one more thing for the crush. Just this couple of ridiculously large fuel tanks. This little tab here has to be on the back. So, make a note of that. Just slots over the groin piece. Alright, here we go. Now he's got gas. Gas up the ass. And to just bring out the new arms, all you do is pop off this panel here. Pull out the arm. There's a die-cast strut here. Looks very nice. Hey, don't get discouraged. Sometimes these little white panels pop off, but they pop right on. Give these arms some fists. Sticking on. Can't forget the panel. There we go. Pop the panel off. Pull out the arm again. One thing I have noticed about the boost arms is that they actually have a double jointed elbow, which I really wish the regular arms had them, because the Master Grade kit also has double jointed arms or elbows. But it's just kind of a terrible omission that knocks a few points off in my eyes. So we're starting to come together here. And we're just gonna give him another fist. And now we just have to assemble the firearms. What we do is we just attach this mounting bracket here to the beam smart gun. Then attach this underneath here in this slot. And then we just mount this little mounting bracket here on the back. Make sure you flip this panel down. Here it goes. And just stick it underneath. Make sure you get all the bits out of the way. There we go. And now we have a ridiculously large mobile suit, some ridiculously large guns, sitting on a stand, not really going to go anywhere. So yeah, this is the C1 boost mode in all of its glory, and it is quite glorious. You just kind of move these bits here.
Here we are with the Zplus C1 boost mode. And as you can see, this is probably where most of that stuff in the box goes. So you just got this giant mobile suit thing. I mean, it's got the arms are still articulated, double jointed elbows, die-cast struts holding the shoulder boosters on. Just huge double gun here that kind of flops around, probably puts a lot of strain on the arm. And sort of maneuver it just off to the side. Okay. Little tiny little pieces on the knees that move in and out. This actually does have knee joints. Let me just show you. Not sure what you're going to use these knee joints for, but they are here. So yeah, this is really, this is what you're going to be doing if you just want to impress people with this toy. Just put it in this mode. Mostly stays on the stand, it's not really going to come off like this, and it's pretty solid even if you pull him off the stand. So you see, it's not really going to go anywhere. Mostly plastic in this mode since we lose some of the metal from the old legs. But still, it feels pretty good in the hands, you know, pretty solid. Oh yeah, the beam cannons on the shoulders, they can move a bit in and out. Just kind of like that. Oh, lots of even more random markings around. But yeah, this is really an impressive piece. Just a sight to behold. And in the next part, I'm going to convert this beast into Wave Rider mode. Alright, we're finally in the home stretch. We're going to convert the C1 boost mode into Wave Rider mode. Just going to pull off the ridiculously huge gun. Set that aside. There's a little more parts forming with this one. One thing you're going to do is take the arms off, take the panel off, and you have to curl up the arm like that. And what we're going to do is just pull it back, just bring it in, so it just sits in there. Put the panel back on. Flip down these tiny little struts here. Pull this off. Just do that again. Well, really, this is not as painless as you think it would be. Okay, set these aside for now. What I'm going to do is just kind of the similar thing we do for regular Wave Rider mode. Get that down. Well, it's slightly more difficult just because you have more junk in the way. Alright, and this time I'm going to remember to take these panels off and get the extending strakes right off the bat so I don't forget them again. I'm going to go on this side. Okay, so what we're going to do here is there's a couple of gray pieces on each leg. We just flip them down. A long fingernail for these. Do this one first. Pull this piece down. Cow. There we go. So you just fold these pieces down, extend the leg,
And now you can collapse it. Of course, try not to get everything in the way. Just take them off the stand. Alright. Collapse each leg, and then these parts just fold back down. They fit in mostly in the spaces you just created. Make sure you get that in there properly. The same thing on the other leg. Just fold out the panels. Make sure you get that in all the way. And now what we do at this point is just put the arms back. Make sure you get the hip guns in the right place. Lots of little bits, just gotta make sure they're just the right place. Just make sure nothing's gonna interfere. Make sure the hip stays connected. Why is that going? There we go. Everything snapped together. And now we're just gonna slot in that tab we just pulled out. We're gonna stick the arm on first. Oh God. Yeah, just giving you a taste of what this is like, folks. There we go. That fist fell off, but we don't need that. And just for the last piece, we just have to stick that gun in. Get that in there through some small miracle. Oh, yeah, you have to take off this piece, of course. The extra mounting bracket. Which is very difficult to get off sometimes. You're supposed to sort of pull it out, back, and get it off of the freaking mobile suit. Sometimes it cooperates, sometimes it doesn't. Alright. Get rid of that. Stick this on here. And watch that sensor get in the way. There that goes, and those strakes just got collapsed. But whatever. Now it's starting to come together. Just get those strakes out again.
just going to set up the stand. Use the Wave Rider mode configuration on this ridiculously huge piece. Stick that in. And then take these 4 tiny pieces. Don't worry, you can't put them in the wrong part or in the wrong area. I always like that when they do that. Just make sure you can't screw it up. Alright, I'm just going to pull this guy up. Stick the gun back on. And the way this attaches is it just kind of rests, and there's these little oval-shaped areas on both of the boosters it just kind of rests on. And let's just stick it on here, make sure that it stays connected. Phew. This looks like a whole lot of work, but you know, I think it's worth it. Oh, there we go. That was a real journey, wasn't it? So here we are at the end of this ridiculously long review. And well, this is kind of a ridiculous toy. I mean, here we are in just C1 boost mode Wave Rider form, and I would dare say this is stunning. I mean, this is absolutely just, it just grabs you. You look at it, this is just this huge dreadnought of a machine. You just got beam guns here, some wings in the back, fuel tanks sticking out of every which way, boosters. It's just, it has that kind of shooting game aesthetic that I just love to see in any kind of sci-fi spaceship. And actually it does kind of stay pretty well on the stand. One thing I didn't show you in the last video, you're supposed to put the long knees underneath this part in the front here. And really, this whole toy is just totally worth the money, I think. It's expensive, yeah, it's probably going to run you over $200, but again, you're just getting quality. Just a nice feel, a nice matte finish to everything, details everywhere, lots of junk to play around with. This is just a really good toy, and I think Bandai really hit home with this toy. And well, this is Andrew, and this has been my epic Zeta Plus journey. Thanks for watching.